Welcome all of you. My name is Dr. Mohammad Fiaz from University of Education, Dijika campus. Mosquitoes belong to the order Diptera and the family Culicidae, are some of the most adaptable and successful insects found on Earth and are found in some extraordinary places. Virtually any natural and man-made collection of water can support mosquito production. They have been discovered in mines nearly a mile below the surface and on mountain peaks at about 14,000 feet. Not every species of mosquito causes problems for people, but many have profoundly negative effects. Mosquitoes can be distinguished easily from other flies by the fact that they have both a long piercing proboscis and scales on the veins of their wings. Approximately more than 3,000 species are known throughout the world. In Pakistan, only a few of these species are important as carriers of diseases, but many more are important nuisance species that dramatically affect people's quality of life. The most important species found in Pakistan are Culex, Anopheles, and Aedes species. From all these species mentioned above, Aedes aegypti is considered to be the most dangerous one in Pakistan. The yellow fever mosquito has been a nuisance species in Pakistan for years. Originating in Africa, it was most likely brought to the New World on ships used for European exploration and colonization. As, uh, as the common name suggests, Aedes aegypti is the primary vector of yellow fever, a disease that is prevalent in tropical South America, Africa, and South America, and often emerges in temperate regions during summer months. In this lecture, we will discuss about distribution, description, life cycle, medical importance, and management of Aedes aegypti mosquito. The yellow fever mosquito has a cosmotropical distribution annually and spreads to more temperate regions during the summer months. Originating in Africa, Aedes aegypti is now present globally in tropical and subtropical regions. In the Pakistan, Aedes aegypti is found in three states, including Punjab, KP, and Balochistan. Although in some areas Aedes aegypti populations are decreasing due to competition with Aedes albopictus, Aedes aegypti is still a common mosquito in urban areas of Punjab and in some cities of KP. The yellow fever mosquito has a cosmotropical distribution annually and spreads to more temperate regions during the summer months. Originating in Africa, Aedes aegypti is now present globally in tropical and subtropical regions. The adult yellow fever mosquito is a small to medium sized mosquito, approximately 4 to 7 millimeters. To the unaided eye, adult yellow fever mosquitoes resemble the Asian tiger mosquito with a slight difference in size and thorax patterns. Aedes aegypti adults have white scales on the dorsal surface of the thorax that form the shape of a violin or lyre, while adult Aedes albopictus have a white strip down the middle of the top of the thorax. Each tarsal segment of the hind legs possesses white basal bands, forming what appears to be the strips. The abdomen is generally dark brown to black, but also may possess white scales. Females are larger than males and can be distinguished by small palps tipped with the silver or white scales. Males have plumose antennae, whereas female has pair short hairs. When viewed under a microscope, male mouthparts are modified for nectar feeding and female mouthparts are modified for blood feeding. The proboscis of both sexes is dark and clypeus. Clypeus is the segment above the proboscis and it has two clusters of white scales. The tip of the abdomen comes to the point which is character of all Aedes species. An adult female yellow fever mosquito, Aedes aegypti, in the process of acquiring a blood meal from its human host. After having penetrated the skin surface with the sharply pointed fascicles, note that her abdomen has become distant as her stomach is filling with her blood meal, and how the proboscis label sheath is in retracted, pulled back configuration, exposing the inserted sharp fascicle which has turned red as the blood is passing up, just like the straw apparatus. An adult female yellow fever mosquito, Aedes aegypti, with a newly obtained fiery red blood meal visible through her now transparent abdomen. The now heavy female mosquito takes flight as she leaves her host skin surface. After having filled with blood, the abdomen becomes distended, stretching the exterior exoskeletal surface, causing it to become transparent and allowed the collecting blood to become visible as an enlarging intra-abdominal red mass. Note in the picture that the clearly defined head, mouth parts and the legs. Aedes aegypti is a holometabolous insect, meaning that it goes through a complete metamorphosis with an egg, larva, pupa, and adult stage. The life cycle is completed in two habitats, land and aquatic. Water is the key element in order to survive and propagate their generations. Adult stage you can find in the air, while egg, larval, and pupal stage will be completed solely in aquatic habitat. The adult lifespan can range from 2 weeks to a month depending on environmental conditions. Aedes aegypti comes in three polytopic forms: domestic, sylvan, and peridomestic. The domestic form breeds in urban habitat, often found in or inside the houses. The sylvan form is more rural form and breeds in tree holes, generally in the forest. And the peri-domestic form thrives in the environmentally modified areas such as coconut groves and farms. Eggs. Let's talk about eggs. After taking a complete blood meal, females produce an average 100 to 200 eggs per hatch. However, the number of eggs produced is depending on the size of the blood meal. Females can produce up to 5 batches of eggs during a lifetime. A smaller blood meal produces fewer eggs. Eggs are laid on damp surfaces in areas likely to temporarily flood, such as tree holes and man-made containers, and are laid singly rather than in mass. Not all the eggs are laid uh, at once, but can be spread out over hours or days, depending on the availability of suitable substrates. Most often, eggs will be placed at varying distances above the waterline, and a female will not lay the entire clutch at a single site, but rather spread out the eggs over two or more sites. Eggs of Aedes aegypti are long, smooth, and ovoid shaped and approximately 1 millimeter long. When first laid, eggs appear white but within minutes turn a shiny black. In warm climates such as the tropics, eggs may develop in as little as 2 days, whereas in cooler temperate climates, development can take up to a week. Aedes aegypti eggs can survive desiccation for months and hatch once submerged in water, making the control of Aedes aegypti difficult. Let's talk about larvae. Mosquito larvae are often called wrigglers or wigglers because they appear to wiggle sporadically in the water when disturbed. Larval Aedes aegypti breathe oxygen through a posteriorly located siphon, which is held above the water surface while the rest of the body hangs vertically. Most Aedes aegypti larvae can be distinguished from other genera by the unaided eye by their short siphon. Larvae feed on organic particulate matter in the water, such as algae and other microscopic organisms. Most of the larval stage of the Aedes aegypti is spent at the water surface, although they will swim to the bottom of the container if disturbed or when feeding. Larvae are often found around the home in puddles, tires, within any object holding water. Larval development is temperature dependent. The larvae pass through four instars, spending a short amount of time in the first ray and up to 3 days in the fourth instar. Fourth instar larvae are approximately uh, 8 millimeter long. Males develop faster than females, so males generally pupate earlier. If temperatures are cool, Aedes aegypti can remain in the larval stage for months as long as water supply is sufficient. After the fourth instar, Aedes aegypti enter the pupal stage. Mosquito pupa are different from many other holometabolous insects in that the pupae are mobile and respond to stimuli. Pupae are called tumblers, do not feed, and take approximately 2 days to develop. Adults emerge by ingesting air to expand the abdomen, thus splitting open the pupal case and emerges the head first. Aedes aegypti are pests, definitely, which bites and their bites cause minor localized itching and irritation to the skin and can make a outdoor adventure very unpleasant. Most bites are not medically significant but can be annoying. While many mosquito bite at night, dawn, or dusk, Aedes aegypti readily bite during the day and indoors as well as outdoors. As the name suggests, the yellow fever mosquito is the primary vector of the yellow fever virus. Yellow fever epidemics still occur frequently in the tropics and can occur in temperate regions during summer months. Although it is not the major threat it once it was, Today, there is a very successful vaccine for yellow fever which has contributed to the decline in cases in the world. In 1951, Max Taylor won a Nobel Prize for his vaccine, which is the only Nobel Prize given for a vaccine to the date. While the Pakistan rarely experiences yellow fever cases, the most recent concern to Pakistan is the transmission of dengue virus. Dengue is also known as the break-bone fever for the excruciating pain victims feel. Dengue is a dangerous disease due to the four different stereotypes. Although a person can obtain immunity to one stereotype, they are still susceptible to the others. The most deadly is the dengue hemorrhagic fever, which is also called DHF, which is often a fatal, which means it can kill you. In 1981, Cuba experienced a major DHF outbreak, killing 159 people. Like yellow fever, dengue fever is caused by a flavivirus. Flavivirus are those viruses which attacks the liver and can only be transmitted by female mosquitoes. Aedes aegypti are vectors of other important viruses of concern to Pakistan, such as chikungunya virus. Also, although chikungunya is not endemic in Pakistan like dengue, the number of cases is steadily increasing, and this virus could become a major threat to public health in the Pakistan. Most cases documented in the Pakistan are associated with international travel, but with the spread and resurgence of the yellow fever mosquito and Asian tiger mosquito in the Asia, chikungunya is very real threat. Aedes aegypti uh, control first began in the early 19th century when officials in South America began treating water tanks with insecticide in order to reduce the number of adult mosquitoes. After initial success, efforts were decreased on the assumption that the population of yellow fever mosquitoes would not return. However, within a decade, Aedes aegypti populations returned to the level seen before the water treatments had occurred and urban yellow fever was again rampant. In 1947, the Pan American Health Organization implemented an eradication program for Aedes aegypti in hopes of eliminating yellow fever outbreaks in the Western Hemisphere. As of 1965, 19 countries had completed the program and were declared Aedes aegypti free. After the eradication program ended, low doses of malathion were used for the control, but Aedes aegypti rapidly developed resistance to the pesticide. Unfortunately, Aedes aegypti has re-established itself throughout the world. No eradication program is currently operational, but there are several steps individual can take to reduce localized mosquito numbers. Because Aedes aegypti are container inhabitant mosquitoes, one of the most successful and cost-effective method to reducing the populations is by preventing containers around the home from collecting water. By turning over empty flower pots, properly maintaining swimming pools, and removing unused tires, you can greatly reduce the number of places mosquitoes have to lay eggs. Aerate bird baths and make sure gutters are free of blockages. For personal protection from bites, apply an insect repellent and wear long pants and long sleeves when outside. Larvivorous fish have been used for over 100 years in mosquito control program, and many species have proved effective. Biological larviciding for the control of mosquito-borne diseases is feasible and effective only when breeding sites are relatively few or are easily identified and treated. Larval control appears to be promising in urban areas, given that the density of human needing protection is higher than the limiting number of breeding sites. Since 1937, fish have been developed for controlling mosquito larvae. Different types of fish have been used so far in this operational technique. However, use of fish of indigenous origin is found to be more appropriate in this operation. The western mosquito fish is a species of freshwater fish, and the name was given because the fish eats mosquito larvae and has been used more than any other fish for the biological control of mosquitoes. Bacillus thuringiensis, sometimes we call it BT, it is a bacteria found in soil. BT is used as a larvicide to kill larvae before they can grow into adults that can bite people. The sterile technique is a form of insect birth control. The process involves rearing large quantities of sterilized male mosquitoes in dedicated facilities and then releasing them to mate with females in the wild. As they do not produce any offspring, the insect population decline over time. The potential application of the symbiotic bacteria Wolbachia to the control of mosquito-borne diseases have emerged as a recent addition to the arsenal of weapons against mosquitoes. It has the benefit of being more environmentally benign than insecticide-based approaches and potentially is a more cost-effective. Although chemicals are widely used to treat Aedes aegypti larval habitats, larviciding should be considered as complementary to environmental management. Larvicides in water storage containers should have low toxicity to other species and should not significantly change the taste, odor, or the color of the water. Indoor residual spraying is the application of long-acting chemical insecticides on the walls and roofs of all houses and domestic animal shelters in a given area in order to kill the adult vector mosquito that land and rest on these surfaces. The treatment cycle of larvicide will depend on the species of mosquito, seasonality of transmission, patterns of rainfall, duration of efficacy of the larvicide, and types of larval habitat. 2 or 3 application rounds carried out annually in a timely manner with proper monitoring of efficacy may be sufficient, especially in areas where the main transmission season is short. So this was all about mosquito. Hope to see you in the next one. Until then, take care.